My mother was always strict and cold. Her love was expressed in reproaches. I ruined my life for you. You will owe me to the grave. I grew up believing that love is paying on a schedule. After getting my dream job with a salary of $4,000, I moved out, dreaming of freedom. But a week later, Mom demanded 30% of my salary, $1, $200 per month, for everything she spent on me. I laughed, thinking it was a joke, but her voice was icy. It's honest. For 6 months, I transferred money, fearing her anger and feeling guilty for ingratitude. Her angry messages reminded her, "You're a worm if you don't pay." My life became a prison until a message during a date, "I hope you translated while you're having fun with men," became a trigger. I understand. I don't want that kind of life. My freedom was worth more than her manipulations. My mom has never been one to hug or say, "I'm proud of you." Her love was like a contract with fine print. You get food, a roof, but you pay for it with a sense of guilt. "Who feeds you?" she asked when I spilled my juice at the age of 7. "I ruined my life for you," she'd say if I brought a 4. "You'll owe me forever," she said when she bought me sneakers. I grew up believing that this was how it should be, that love is pain that comes on a schedule, that mom's kindness is an action with conditions, be perfect or pay. I dreamed of escaping, not from home, but from her shadow. At 24, I got my dream job, a marketer at a startup, for $1,000 per month. It's not wealth, but for me it's a ticket to a life where I could breathe. I rented an apartment, a small one with shabby walls, but mine. The exit was quiet. Boxes, taxi, closed door. I didn't make a scene. I didn't shout goodbye. She just left, feeling her lungs fill with air for the first time in years. I imagined how I would start saving money, buy a ticket to Europe, and choose a dress that wasn't discounted. My life, I thought, would finally begin. But a week later, Mom called. I was in the kitchen making coffee when her number popped up on the screen. "Well, daughter, are you rich now?" she said with a slight sneer. I laughed, embarrassed. "Well, not really." I was waiting for her to ask, "How are you? How is work?" But her voice turned as cold as steel. "I've counted. Over the years, you've spent more than $200,000. Meals, clothes, clubs, childbirth, kindergarten, school. I even bought a dishwasher to wash your dishes. So, let's do this. 30% of your salary. It's fair." I froze, holding the phone. The coffee was boiling, but I didn't move. "Are you serious?" I blurted out. I was waiting for a laugh, a joke, anything. But she replied, "Absolutely. You grew up in my house. I gave you everything. Now it's your turn." Her tone wasn't a request. It was an order. I muttered, "I'll think about it," and hung up. The laughter came first, a nervous, short one. Then the tears. I was sitting on the kitchen floor, looking at the wall, and I felt like her words were suffocating. 30%? $1,200? That's half of my rent, my bills, my food. But the other thing was worse. She considered me a debtor, as if I were a loan that needed to be paid off. I transferred the money. The $1,200 flew out of my account like a bird out of a cage. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know how to say no. My mother's voice has lived in me since childhood. Don't overdo it. Pay. Be grateful. I grew up with this mechanism, guilt, which turned on like a light bulb when she raised her voice. She's right, I thought. She fed me, clothed me, sacrificed me. But inside, something screamed, "This is not love. This is blackmail." So began 6 months of hell. Every month is a transfer. The $1,200 was draining away like blood from a vein. I refused to have dinner with friends, bought cheap food, turned off the heating to save money. My dream of Europe disappeared like smoke. Sometimes I forgot to translate, and then her voicemail came. "Have you forgotten your mother?" She hissed. "I am everything to you, and you are an ungrateful worm." Her words were like blows, and I translated again, feeling my life shrink. My apartment, my freedom, everything has become a cage, only with a different view from the window. I was living in tension, as if I were walking on a tightrope. Mom's calls were like checks. "Did you transfer them?" "Didn't translate it?" Once I was delayed for a day, and she wrote, Apparently, you don't care about me. I'm alone, sick, and you live as you want. I didn't know if she was sick or not, but the fear worked. I translated apologetically like a child. My friends noticed that I had changed. You're kind of extinct, said Lisa's friend. I waved it off, but inside I knew that Mom was sucking me out like a vampire. Not money, but the soul. The trigger happened unexpectedly. I was on a date, my first in a year. The guy, Mike, was funny, kind, and dimpled. We were sitting in a cafe, drinking wine, and I was laughing, feeling like I was coming to life. For the first time in months, I wasn't in debt. I wasn't a worm. I was just me. But the phone vibrated. A message from my mom. I hope you've already transferred the money. It looks like you don't feel sorry for me, your own mother, leaving me with nothing while you're having fun with men. I turned pale, my fingers trembled. Mike noticed. I mumbled, yeah, it's just Mom. But everything collapsed inside. Her words were like poison poisoning my evening, my joy, my life. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, and looked at myself in the mirror. Her eyes were as empty as a doll's. I remembered how I dreamed of freedom, of Europe, of a dress that wasn't discounted. And now, I'm crying for being born, for growing up in her house, for daring to live. Mike was waiting at the table, but I knew it wasn't just a message. This is the moment when I have to choose her or myself. I came back and smiled, but my resolve was growing inside. My life won't be like this. I don't want to be her ATM, her debtor, her shadow. My freedom was worth more than her fare, and I was ready to fight for her, even if it meant losing her forever. Mom demanded 30% of my salary, $1,200 per month, calling it compensation for childbirth and my childhood in her house. For 6 months, I paid, tormented by guilt, until her message during a date, "I hope you translated while you're having fun with men," became the last straw. I stopped transferring money, turned off her notifications, and waited for the storm. She came, audio with accusations, calls, harassment from relatives whom Mom had set up, crying about an ungrateful daughter. I almost broke down, but I recorded a video with the truth about her demands, manipulations, lies. I sent it to everyone who judged me. Mom got mad, but I wasn't scared. I got free. Her relatives turned away from her. Her reputation collapsed, and I live without guilt. Love is not paid by subscription, and I am no longer her donor. After that message on the date, I realized, enough is enough. Mom's words, "I hope you translated while you're having fun with men," were not just a reproach. They were the chain she had put on me since I was a child. I went back to the table and smiled at Mike, but everything was boiling inside. I didn't answer her. I didn't transfer the money. I didn't write, "I'm sorry." For the first time in 6 months, I was just silent. It wasn't a riot, but a quiet rebellion, as if I'd pulled the plug on the outlet that powered her control. I turned off the sound in her chat, knowing that a storm was imminent. And she didn't keep me waiting. In the morning, the phone exploded. Audio messages, one after the other, for 8 minutes each. At first, her voice was icy. "You should be ashamed of yourself. I gave you everything, and you spit in my face." Then a tear. "I put youth and health into you, and you left me." By the third message, she was shouting, "You'll never love anyone if you don't respect your mother." I listened, sitting on the couch, and felt my heart pounding. Every word was like a blow, but I didn't cry. I knew this scenario: guilt, threats, tears. She's been honing it for years, and I've always given up. But not now. Then the calls started. 20, 30 times a day. I didn't pick up the phone, but the screen was flashing her number like a lighthouse in a storm. When I didn't answer, she switched to her relatives. Aunt Laura, my mother's sister, wrote, "How could you do this to your mother?" Emily's cousin, "Did you leave your mom? She's crying." Uncle Richard, whom I saw once every 5 years, sent, "You were destroying her with your selfishness." Mom called everyone, acting out the drama. She lied that I had left her without funds, that I had become a star, that I had spat out my mother as soon as I started earning money. Her version was like a virus. Relatives, family, friends, even people I hadn't seen since school wrote to me. One cousin, Jake, said, "You'll grow up and realize how painful it is to be an unwanted daughter." I looked at his words and felt the air thicken. It wasn't a family, it was bullying. I almost broke down. The guilt that my mother had instilled in me since childhood whispered, "You're a bad daughter. You have to pay." I used to sit at night, staring at the ceiling, and think, what if she's right? What if I'm being selfish? I remembered how she worked, how she bought me clothes, how she took me to school. But then I remembered her words, "I ruined my life for you." Her look when I brought the four. Her, "You'll owe me to the grave." It wasn't love. It was a bill she'd been billing since I was a baby. I didn't want to owe her. I wanted to be free. And then I did something she didn't expect. I recorded a video. Not in tears, not in anger, but with a cool head. I sat in front of the camera in my small apartment and told the truth. "My mom demands 30% of my salary, $1, $200 a month," I began. "She says it's compensation for the birth, for the food, for the dishwasher she used to wash my plates." I paid for 6 months because I was afraid of her anger, her words, "ungrateful worm." She threatened and blackmailed me with guilt, and when I stopped paying, she turned my family against me. She's lying that I left her without money, that I'm a star. Here are her messages. I showed the screenshots. "I hope you translated while you're having fun with the men. You're a worm if you don't pay." She finished, "I didn't leave her. I refuse to be her ATM. Judge for yourself." I sent the video to everyone who wrote to me with reproaches. Aunt Laura, Emily, Uncle Richard, Jake, even school friends. No threats, no tantrums. Just, "So you know what you're judging me for." I wasn't waiting for an answer. I wanted the truth to breathe. And she began to breathe. Aunt Laura wrote, "I didn't know. It's true." Emily apologized. "I'm sorry. I believed my mom." Uncle Richard said nothing, but stopped writing. Jake deleted his message. Some people ignored it, but I could see that their blind faith in mom's drama had been shattered. They started asking questions, not to me, but to her. Mom freaked out. She called at night, screaming so that the phone was shaking. "You kicked me out, betrayed me, disgraced the whole family." Her voice was like a hurricane, but I wasn't scared. For the first time, I felt not guilt, but strength. "I told the truth," I said calmly. She gasped, "The truth? You ruined my life." I hung up the phone, feeling my heart beating steadily. I was no longer her hostage. Her screams, her tears, her, "I gave you everything," all this lost its power. I saw her for what she was, not a victim, but a manipulator who built a throne on my fault. 3 months have passed. I don't talk to my mom. She calls less often. Her messages are shorter. "You'll regret it." But I don't regret it. The relatives were divided. Someone turned away from her. Someone is silent. Aunt Laura stopped inviting her to family dinners. Emily writes to me sometimes, apologizing. Uncle Richard and Jake disappeared from the chats. Mom tried to win back their sympathy, crying, accusing me, but her lies no longer worked. Her reputation, like porcelain, was shattered with a bang. Now she is called the mother from the video. No one comes to her for tea or sends her postcards for the holidays. She lives in the same apartment, but alone, not because I left her, but because the truth was louder than her tears. I've changed. I live without guilt, without payments for air and childbirth. My apartment, my salary, my life are mine. I go on dates with Mike, laughing, not afraid that the phone will vibrate with a new reproach. Lisa, my friend, says, "Oh, it's like you've come to life." And I came alive. I'm saving up for a trip, buying dresses without looking at the price tag. But the main thing is that I don't pay for love. I realize that love is not by subscription. She doesn't charge interest. She doesn't bill for diapers. Mom wanted me to be her donor, but I witnessed her lies, her manipulations, her collapse. And this witness is free. I'm sitting in a cafe, drinking coffee, looking at people. They laugh, they talk, they live. I'm one of them. Not a worm, not a debtor, not a shadow. Just me. Mom didn't raise a victim. She raised a woman who chose herself. And that choice is the only thing I will never apologize for. Karma is not always loud, but it is accurate. Mom's china is broken. and I'm building my life out of something stronger, the truth.